dear students. Welcome to this lecture on strategic human resource management, and the topic which we will be discussing today is techniques of training and development. I am Dr. Tripti Barthwal. I am Director, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management and Development Studies, Lucknow. So, in the last lecture, we had discussed about what is training, how training is different from development, and then we had also discussed the entire process of organizing a training program. And in that, there was a step which was about the application of operations and techniques of training. So, today we will talk about what are the various methods or ways or techniques through which training can be imparted. So, the training techniques can be broadly divided into two categories. The on the job training techniques, or these are also known as hands on training. On the job is in short we call it OJT, which you must have heard also. And then we have off the job training techniques. What is the difference between two? We will come to know very shortly. Firstly, as the name suggests, on the job training are all those training methods or all those training techniques in which the worker is trained in their workplace. Wherever they are working, wherever they require those skills, there itself they are trained. So, it refers to the methods of teaching employees in their workplace the skills, knowledge and competencies needed to perform a specific job. So, that is on the job or hands on training. And in contrast to that, off the job training is when we provide training to the trainees at a place which is away from their regular workplace, right. So, we kind of in the when we were discussing about how to organize a training program, then we discussed about the venue also, that where the training program needs to be organized. So, in on the job training method, the venue will be within the organization, within the workplace of the employee, and in off the job training, the venue will be somewhere outside the workplace, somewhere outside the organization. And it refers to the methods of training which are adopted for the development of the skills of employee away from the field of the job. So, within the unit where that employee is working, if we are organizing a training program out of that, then it is off the job training. Now, let us take a look one by one what are the various on the job and off the job training techniques. The first on the job training technique is job rotation. As the name suggests, it refers to moving the employee across various departments, across various duties and responsibilities, across various jobs in the same organization. Now, what is happening as a result of that? While he is moving across different jobs, he is getting to know how these jobs are performed, what all it entails, and his skills and competencies in performing different types of jobs other than from what he used to do regularly is being enhanced and it is being increased. So, that is the relevance of job rotation. And the benefit of job rotation is that when you have employees who have moved across different jobs in the organization, then you have a very generalist kind of a manpower, and work never stops. Suppose an employee in a particular department is absent, and work will never be hampered because there are other employees who have been rotated across jobs. So, they know that how that particular job is performed. So, they can very well substitute for that employee who is absent. And the other advantage of job rotation is that it kind of creates a sense of awareness and an understanding among employees about the challenges and the problems which are faced by other employees in their jobs, right. It is very common for employees to think that their job is most challenging, their job is most difficult, and others are having a better option, others are enjoying. But when employees are rotated across jobs, then they come to know that what are the difficulties and what are the challenges which others also face on their job. So, they become more appreciative, more empathetic towards each other, and as a result of which the environment, working environment of the organization improves. There is lot more cohesiveness. So, the training method involves movement of trainee from one job to another to gain knowledge and experience from different job assignments. Then the second is programmed instructions. Now, these are very common these days, wherein the employee or the trainee is given a set of detailed instructions, a manual or some sort of a video wherein all instructions are given, and the employee has, it is kind of a self guided, self directed kind of a method, wherein the employee will read the manual, read the instructions and follow them one by one, and hence he or she will develop an understanding of how the work has to be done. So, it is a method where training is given without the intervention of a trainer. That is why I said it is a self-guided method, and information is given to the trainee either in a book form or through a teaching machine. After reading each block of material, the trainee must answer questions about it. So, you must have come across several online training programs which are actually based on this method only, that you are given certain sets of videos, and after every module a quiz is there, a test is there, and finally another after you complete all the modules, after you complete the entire course, then a final test is taken, and you do have assignments in between, and finally you are given a score based on whatever your performance has been in the quizzes, in the tests, in the assignments, and in the final test. So, the start date and the end date is announced, and in between the trainee is free or empowered to learn at his or her pace. So, this is how programmed instructions work. Then the next method is coaching. Now, this is a very common method or a common term which we are all familiar with, and it is very commonly used in sports coaching, right. So, we have coaches in sports, where be it cricket, football, badminton, and what do these coaches do? They work closely with the trainee, and as the trainee is performing, they help the trainee to improve his skills or abilities. So, similarly coaching can take place in an organization also, where under this method the trainee is placed under a particular supervisor who functions as a coach in training and provides feedback to the trainee. So, he will kind of tell the trainee about the new techniques, how he can improve, what are his shortcomings, what are his strengths, how he can build on his strengths. So, it is kind of a very one-to-one technique of training, and that is why it is an on-the-job method, because the trainee is learning while he is performing the activity. It is at the performance area only, it is at the workplace only. Then next is apprenticeship training. This is very common, especially in manufacturing industries, where you require candidates with wide variety of skills, and it is very common for polytechnic students to go for apprenticeship training. It is actually mandatory for them. So, apprenticeships give employers the opportunity to shape inexperienced workers to fit into existing and future jobs. With this methods, individuals entering industry, particularly in the skilled trades such as mechanist, laboratory technician or electrician, are given thorough instruction and experience in the practical and theoretical aspects of the work. So, you must have heard about it, you must have experienced about it, that in for example, in a factory, somebody who has a particular diploma of an he has done some course of electrician or some course of a plumber, then he or she is taken as an apprenticeship or given an apprenticeship in the factory, and the person, it can be a 6-month or 1-year long apprenticeship, and while working as a trainee, the employee or the candidate is given some stipend also, and while working he kind of becomes more thorough and improved in his skills. So, this is how this method works. Now, coming to off the job training methods, wherein you know that, as we have already discussed, that the trainee is not being trained at his workplace, he is not being trained while he is working, but he is being trained away from his workplace. So, the first very common method of imparting off the job training is case study. And case study is a method which I am sure you all must be experienced with, because you must be have discussed case studies in your during your program, your course, and many times you know case studies are part of your question papers also. So, case study is a technique of training which was introduced by the Harvard Law School, and the case method was first developed in the 1800s by Christopher Langdell at the Harvard Law School. So, it was very important for you know future budding lawyers not only to understand what are the various provisions of a particular act, what is the meaning of the various, what is the meaning of the language given in the law, but they also need to know where it can be implemented and how they can use these provisions, you know. They may not be able to handle live cases at the very start. So, a very good method of training them is to give them a hypothetical situation or a real life situation which has already occurred, and then they can give their inputs that how they will use whatever they have learnt into the real life situation. So, this is how it all started, and today it has become a very important method of training. And usually case studies deal with any problem confronted by a business which can be solved by an employee. The trainee is given an opportunity to analyze the case and come out with all possible solutions. So, it is said that you know the trainee has actually to brainstorm and to see what is the real problem in the case, then he has to come up with various possible solutions to handle that situation, and then he has to choose the best option which he feels can bring the best results in the given situation. So, this method is actually meant to enhance the analytical and critical thinking of an employee. So, this becomes a very important method, not only started with law, but today it is a very important method in teaching business and management to the students. Then the second is role play. I am sure you must be familiar with role plays also in your colleges, in your university, these also must be conducted. And what is a role play? As the name suggests, that you are given a role which you have to enact. And here again a kind of similar to real life situation is given to the participants or the trainees, and they have to you know they are assigned different roles in the situation, and they have to enact that role, and they have to speak dialogues related to that role, and gradually through a process of dialogue you know common understanding has to develop related to the issue which has been given to them. So, in this method a business situation is simulated, asking the employee to assume the role of a particular person in the situation. The participants interact with other participants assuming different roles. Now, it is like you can say a drama which is being staged. The only difference between a drama and a role play is that in a drama everything is pre-decided. right? What roles the people will play, what will be the background, what will be the dialogues of the participants, everything is decided for beforehand, and it is kind of rehearsed many times. But role play is different from a drama in the sense that no dialogues are given beforehand. Roles are assigned there and then, and dialogue is kind of arises spontaneously rather than any prepared script, and that is how it becomes very natural. And with that flow of dialogues, one person saying one thing and the other person responding accordingly, and then it becomes a very creative exercise. Next, very common is conferences, seminars and workshops, and again a term which you must be very familiar with, I am sure, and you must have attended several of them. And you know, many times these terms are used interchangeably. We will see that they have a common thread among them, but they are different from each other. So, basically all of these, they involve, you know, teaching something new topics, contemporary things of relevance for the trainees. So, conference is a group meeting conducted according to an organized plan in which the members seek to develop knowledge and understanding of a topic by oral participation. So, conference, seminars and workshops generally involve oral participation, wherein in a conference there will be a group of experts who will be deliberating on a particular topic, and then the participants will also be free to raise their queries or to add on to whatever they have learnt about that topic earlier, according to whatever they have an idea about the topic. If they want to add on something to it, they will be free to add, but basically it is you know, the experts who will be driving the oral presentation. Seminar is more or less like a conference, but a conference is on a very huge scale, a seminar is generally on a smaller scale. And workshop is a little different from them, in the sense that it is interactive training which is designed to teach or introduce to participants practical skills, techniques or ideas which they can use in their work or in their daily lives. So, here the focus in a workshop is not only on giving instructions or giving information through oral presentation. It is also the lot of focus in a workshop is into imparting practical skills to the employee. And a workshop can be, wherein a seminar and a conference, practicality is not that focused upon, right. It is like, it is basically orienting up the trainees or sensitizing them to a new concept which has come in. But in a workshop, there will be certain sessions where there will be an oral presentation followed by, you know, a practical experience or hands on training, so that the employees or the trainees, they come to know how whatever is being taught to them through the oral presentation can be applied to, you know, the real work situation or to their real life where they will be actually using it. So, it is more of practical oriented in comparison to a seminar or a conference. Then next is lecture, again a very common and a popular method of training. So, I will say rather that in any training, kind of training, you know, more or less there will be an involvement of lecture method. There can't be any method of training where absolutely there is no lecture, and lecture is probably one of the oldest methods, most tried and tested methods of training. When if we talk about, you know, the ancient Indian system of education, we had gurukuls and all, and you know, students used to live with the guru and they used to learn also, they used to work also. There also the guru, part of the knowledge was imparted through lectures. The guru would speak and the students would imbibe. They would listen to his instructions. So, and it is a very good method of explaining principles very clearly, and generally a lecture happens through a face to face interaction, but now we have other modes of lectures also, and especially because of the COVID pandemic, we have moved to online lectures, or you are getting recorded lectures, so on YouTube and all. So there have been variations, but most of the proportion of lectures is through face to face interaction, and this is how it is very effective, because once the communication is made by the trainer, then the trainees are free to clarify their doubts and their queries related to whatever has been imparted to them. It is a very good method of training when, especially when the number of employees or the trainees is very large. Then another method of the job training is vestibule training. In a vestibule training, what is done is that exactly as per the work area of the employee is, it is in entirety, in totality, it is replicated in some other area. So, whatever machines he has to work on, whatever instruments he has to use, all of them are available in that particular area where he has to be trained. So, that is actually a total photocopy, you can say, of his real work area. So, a special area is set aside from the main production area and is equipped with furnishings similar to those in the actual production area. Now, the benefit of using it is a very expensive method, because you are having two setups, one setup only for the regular work and the other setup only for training the employees. So, you are incurring double cost as an organization. But the benefit of this method, why organizations would go to for this method, is that the very big problem in training occurs because of difficulty in transfer of whatever has been taught to the trainee to his actual workplace. So, this method, because replicates the entire workplace, so there is more or less no problem in transferring what the trainee has learnt in the training program to his actual work life situation. Then films and videos, lectures are recorded, workshops are recorded, and then the trainees can go through them. Films and videos are used along with other methods also. They can be used in a workshop, they can be used in a for a lecture, they can be used for programmed instructions, and they are very effective, because people can learn very quickly and efficiently, and many times people prefer an AV, audio visual mode, to merely reading from the text. So, for example, the AKTU could have imparted you with study material, they could have sent PDFs or Word documents to you containing all that what is being taught to you through these lectures, but they went for the recording of these videos, because videos are more effective in comparison to the reading material. Then comes simulators. Simulators are like models, artificial, when we create the workplace artificially through a computer or through a model, then that is a simulator. So, simulator is used to imitate real work experiences. Most simulators are very expensive, but for certain jobs they are indispensable, right. So, for certain jobs, like for example, you must have played video games, right. So, video games, they give you a kind of a situation wherein maybe if you are driving a car, you feel that you are actually driving a car. There are other cars coming, and there are these steep curves, and sometimes you meet with an accident, and then you realize how you have to move in a more careful and a cautious way. So, similarly, simulators also work, and as I said, said that in certain professions, though they are very expensive, but for certain trainings, for certain professions, they are a must. For example, in medical profession, you cannot immediately send the trainee to operate a person. So computer aided simulators are created which kind of simulate the entire human body, and a person can first start operating on those simulators, and then he can go to the real patient, and when once that person is confident, and they are attached to all the vital parameters of the body, so they can indicate that if you are doing this kind of a cut, then what is the impact on the blood pressure or on the vital statistics of the person. So in medical they are very of lot of relevance. In teaching driving to people they can be used, and especially in aviation they are of lot of help, because again giving an aircraft to a person who does not know how to fly can be very expensive and can be fatal also. So in that case he or she is first asked to learn in a simulated environment where in the entire cockpit is there, and he or she feels that they are actually driving an aircraft, and then they are, once they are confident there, then they are moved on to the real life situation. And there are other organizations also which have realized the benefit of simulation, and they have they are using it very frequently. One example is Kentucky Fried Chicken, the very famous KFC which we know, and they have these simulated training programs for their employees, wherein they are made to be there in an escape room, and in order to escape from that room they have to prepare the fast food very quickly and in a very systematic way. So as a result of this simulation, the employees not only learn how to prepare the food very fast, but they also enjoy the entire training activity. It does not become mundane or monotonous for them. Similarly, you must have heard of this organization called UPS, United Parcel Service, which is a very famous courier company of America. It is a logistics and supply chain and a courier company, and they also have in 9 locations throughout the world, they have simulated training programs wherein the there will be a simulation of a big city, right, where their employees have to move with the parcels, they have to deliver those parcels, and the employees during those simulation exercises, they learn not only to how to deliver the parcel at a very fast pace, but they also learn how to deal with difficulties, challenges in the way, like how to deal with rogue drivers who are not driving properly, or neighbors who are not at all cooperative, or bad roads or something of that sort, or any accident in the route. So this is how the simulators, without harming the person or without having any injury or destruction, they can continue with that, they can learn. So this is how it takes place. So we have in basket exercises also for training, and herein the employee is given a set of things to handle, like emails, directive requests, reports, and then he has to take a decision accordingly. So this gives him a very practical aspect of the work. And then this is all about the training techniques which I would like to discuss with you in this session, and I hope you have understood the training techniques. Thank you.